Okay guys, I'm at Klein Engines. It's going to be a fun little field trip. Ed Smith has, well, and his son Chris, they built a big block Chevy 454 and they're having it dynoed, so they're going to be doing a little testing here. And I was invited to bring my camera and meet Ed over here and meet Robert at Klein Engines. So I'm bringing you guys along. All right, here we go.
Yeah, and just we're going to take this motor down here. It's a 454, 30 over. We build a lot of these motors. We probably build as much 454s, not quite as many as the 350s, but we build a lot of them. This happens to be a 9.5 to 1 compression. It's got a comp cam in it. We like that. It's a roller cam because we're doing roller cams lately.
Okay.
And completely rebuilt. I think this motor was balanced. It has flywheel and stuff on it. Once we change something on the motor, change the compression or change the cam and stuff, then we like to dyno it. It gives us an example of what the horsepower and torque is. So it gives an example of what that motor is, and we can build several just like that. And they'll be within 1 or 2% of the horsepower. And we will dyno a lot of them because the customer demands that or wants them. He gets a whole sheet on it. If he ever wants to sell the motor, he has a complete dyno sheet with it.
Right.
It tells exactly all the torques and stuff like this, and you'll see in the when we dyno this motor that what it puts out, and what's it complicated. It's not complicated. We take it down to Robert, and he's been dynoing our motors for several years, and he's got a nice shop, and we enjoy going down and visiting with him, and we do some things for him.
Right.
We do some engine cleaning up, and do some cylinder head work for him, and things like this. So we. Good friend. A little bit about it.
Yeah, it's Robert King.
I've known him, Robert King, for a long time. Robert's done a good job, and we've been doing our dyno work for a long time, and we're friends, and friends forever.
He mentioned to me he's known Chris since 1997.
Yeah, or something. Yeah,
that's a long time.
Yeah, well, longer, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And he was a little. But anyways, he has a nice shop here, and
he sure does.
And it's quite a deal. He is an authorized Chevrolet dealer for, they call it a Spec motor from Chevrolet.
Okay.
So you have to run that motor in certain classes, and it's got a bolt in it, several bolts that are wired and tagged, so you can't take that motor apart.
I see. So no one can monkey with it.
It's a crate motor type racing. And Chevrolet makes that motor, and they sold them all around the United States, around the world. But it's a tagged motor, so you can't take it apart. Well, Robert is an authorized dealer. He can take it apart.
Yeah.
And fix it if that bearing goes bad or something like this, and he can put another tag back on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite
he's got quite a reputation, and probably one of the better ones, and we love him. Look at this shop is nice and clean, and he's a gentleman. His wife comes to our shop and picks up stuff all the time, and so what a nice family.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's go walk around the motor.
We can walk.
That's aluminum heads on a Ford?
Yeah, a 394. It's 427 maybe. And something that says Travis's 406. I don't know what these has it in. Now here's one that's this is sprint car motors, and then almost NASCAR motors too. That would be this motor. I'll take the rags off of it. So it has all this special watering system.
Oh, look at all that plumbing back there.
Yeah, and this is water and oil. So all those strings of things there is always pumps. Maybe one for power steering, one for motor oil, maybe one for water.
Yep.
It's like the water pumps on the crankshaft.
Okay.
Let me set these aside. So this happened to be a fuel-injected motor. So this is out of a sprint car, late model sprint car.
And
that's who owns the motor. But it has the watering system in the side of the motor.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So then they can run nitromethane or alcohol on this, alcohol without a doubt. And then you look at the distributor, the magneto, and here's the drive. See, this is a standard drive. There's no clutch in this car. The shaft goes to a small transmission. It's basically an in and out box. It's either in gear or out.
And that's it.
And then it has big tires on the back, so it's a sprint car motor.
Okay.
When you get ready, you just push it and start it. There's no starter on this motor. And this motor happens to be a late model aftermarket block, probably 406 cubic inches. Probably no more than that.
Yeah.
It's expensive, probably around 60 or 70,000 for this motor. Yeah, and Robert does a lot of it.
Yeah.
One of those little clutches we talked about the other day.
Uh-huh.
That little small flywheel, remember that?
That is a very small, lightweight flywheel.
And this is the clutch that goes on it. We were talking about centrifugal force.
Yep.
With a small clutch in it. There's the clutch for it, and it's got 2 discs in there.
Yeah, it looks like, I don't know what it is, but it may be like a 7-inch or 6-inch something.
Or 5-inch.
Or even 5. It's very small.
Yeah, I didn't bring my ruler, yeah.
And you know, I'm noticing even a very small alternator,
yes,
they don't need much.
And we run alternators. We never talked about that before.
No, we haven't.
Because these magnetos run really well on 16 volts.
Okay.
But it's on a 12-volt battery. And then our race cars, some of it depends on how long the race is, because it drains the battery down. And you can only have 1 battery.
Okay.
So now, if you get in a 40-lap race, if there's a started a couple times, now our voltage is way down below 12. And then the magneto or your ignition won't fire right. So we'll put an alternator on.
Yeah.
I've had alternator on some of our dirt track cars. It keeps them up, keeps it charged up.
And it obviously doesn't have to be too big and heavy.
Yeah, and you can get a regulator in here that'll actually put out maybe 14. Okay. Yes, it really runs good then. It fires the ignition like it's supposed to be.
Interesting.
Which is important.
Yeah.
If you want to win a race. And there's an example right there, yeah.
Okay, wow.
There's an aluminum motor, that's a aftermarket motor. Oh, no, that's not an LS motor there.
That's an LS aluminum.
Robert has a lot of stuff here going on.
Yeah, he does. There's a lot. Little tour here.
Yeah. There's a blower motor there. See, that's a street motor on somebody's hot rod.
Uh-huh.
Not a race car. He has so much to do here. I know he's booked up and it's hard to get some. Now here's one here. This is a late model Chevrolet motor, LS motor. Uh-huh. And it has a supercharger on it.
Yes.
So that's a belt-driven supercharger.
Yes, it is. And it says liquid cooled.
Yeah.
Well, what do you know about the engine on the dyno in here?
This is the dynamometer. So it's this is a brand new, a SuperFlow. SuperFlow, that's the brand of them. Uh-huh. And then so with this equipment here, you can actually find out horsepower. If you want to spend a lot of time on them, you get a horsepower and torque. Then you can start jetting the carburetor. Okay. And put more fuel in it maybe, and bump the timing up. Put more fuel in it, bump the timing up. Keep doing that until you overload it, and then you just go back a couple steps. Okay. That'd be a maximum. But this dyno here will probably, you can run, I don't know how many RPMs this, probably 10 grand. Wow. 10,000. We usually, it has a brake here, and it's a water-driven pump. So it has a brake here with water, and you can stop the water flow with these valves and stuff here, and then torque the engine down. And we'll run it maybe 5,000 RPMs, and just actually almost kill the engine, stall it. Okay. That's then the maximum horsepower it says on the scale, and it's all computer ready. So all kinds of sensors and stuff on the exhaust, and oxygen fuel ratio. All you can do here.
So is it basically pushing against water to give resistance?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You can't have a dry clutch with water. Right. And oil filters and all kinds of things on it, air intake through the carburetor. This is one of our motors. We send them, all of our motors down here to get them. We don't send them all down here, but if somebody wants them dynoed with a spec sheet, but once we dyno a motor, we might build a different motor we have before. Let's say a 377 cubic inches or some odd cubic inch motor, then we'll bring it down here and dyno it, so we know what we're selling. Okay. Yeah, and we know that this, any of the motors real close to this 1 or 2 horsepower difference, if we keep doing that same recipe when we build motors, same helix, the same camshaft and intake manifold and stuff like the carburation, Well, that's why we do it.
That's how you do it. Now, do you know anything about the specs on this exact engine?
I do not know.
We have to see if we can find out from Chris.
It feels like it's warm, so he's been running it.
Yeah, I think he's warmed it up already a little bit.
And we always like it, And it has oil pressures things, and here's the oil, and I think that's the oil temperature. gauge here, and it's got a throttle here, and the throttle will be electronic, and we'll go in this room. Here's the dyno room here.
Okay.
So we'll go on there on the computer. We can go in there.
Right.
And then run this motor. We won't be in this room while it runs.
Right, because bad things can happen.
Sometimes things happen.
Like I'm looking at this, maybe that was a bad thing.
Yeah, maybe bad things that happen, yeah.
Okay.
Here's the timing light and stuff. We can come out and check the timing on it whenever we want to.
Right.
Make sure that it's on,
for.
it's on whatever degrees we want to. And yeah. The temperature.
So obviously a water system.
It's water. It's, yeah, this is the water for the radiator water. So it cools the motor. We keep the motor. We'll warm it up probably to 180 degrees, something like that, or maximum. Again, like I said before, maximum is around 200 degrees for a motor to put out maximum horsepower.
Okay.
But 180 and 190 is close enough to pull it. If you make a pull on this, it would probably get to 200 during the cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, for setting up all kinds of engines, you've got a rig set up here to make
the whole,
it easy to modify.
Almost any motor on here.
Yeah.
And he has headers to match everything and most everything. And sometimes he can call us and ask if we have another set of headers for some weird motor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So, what's the value of having headers on an engine instead of just leaving it open?
Well, you can't leave it open. You won't get any horsepower because you end up with the exhaust. When exhaust leaves out of the motor, goes down a pipe, and then one exhaust volume of air, exhaust air, when it leaves in the firing order, then it pulls the next one out. So sometimes these headers, and I don't think I've ever said that before, we might, on our race cars, we'll take white paint and paint a strip on this header.
Okay.
However long it is. And we'll race that car 2 or 3 times and then come back to the shop and find out where it burnt the white paint off. We'll saw the collector off right there.
Okay.
On that motor.
Okay.
Not on any other one.
So you've tuned the exhaust for that exact motor.
For that motor, yeah.
Okay.
And that's just not necessarily common sense, but that's
Right.
the way you do it, yeah.
All right.
So,
Cool.
will you run this morning?
I started up, ran it in, checked the timing on it, kind of just got everything set, so
Yeah. Okay.
we didn't have to dilly-dack with it too many times.
Yeah. You don't hook up vacuum advance?
I leave them to run them. I leave them off.
Yeah. Why you don't want that fluctuating up to 150
Correct.
degrees and something like that. Yeah.
So like I set them.
This.
In my world, I don't care what the idle, the timing does at idle.
Yeah,
I care
right.
what it does wide open throttle.
Well, yeah.
That's when engines.
32.
Yeah.
Is that what you got? 32. Yeah. And I know some places people don't understand that too. It will burn more percentage of the fuel at 31 or 32 than it will at 34.
Correct.
Percentage of the fuel in the piston. Yeah.
Yeah. So the more we can get it to the top,
horsepower.
it's more
That's
efficient.
That's what we're working at.
Correct.
Yeah. Like I was telling him, we just do this to get it on this particular motor. Now we can sell more motors just like this and be really close to what it puts out the next 5 motors we sell.
Yep.
So that's why we're doing it one thing. Yeah.
And that's what I know with dealing with you guys. The engines, when they start coming in, and Chris will tell me it's the same engine as we did, yada, yada, yada. And the numbers, using the same parts, camshafts, heads, and everything else, the numbers are, within 2% of repeatability.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, obviously it all depends on the barrel for the day, for the atmosphere and everything else.
But don't change much here.
No, we kind of, in that little sensor up there, that reads the air that's coming in across
from
outside, and so it recalibrates the dyno all the time.
Yeah.
So it's always rolling, and it's always doing the calculation on it.
Some surprised me you don't have exhaust.
So right there is my CFM fan.
That's good enough.
So that's a 14,000 CFM fan that's up there.
Okay.
If you look up inside, it looks like a big muffler. And so when I close the doors, it actually creates a.
Okay, you are going to close the door. Okay, all right.
It creates
like
a
vacuum.
negative three in here.
Oh wow!
And so it'll it sucks the air right out of it.
All right.
And so I kind of designed it like that. I took it off of back in the day. There was a guy, his name's Craig from DTS Dynos, and how he designed dyno rooms and everything else with that unit, so that way you could change different headers.
Yeah,
And
without all the mechanism.
I got, as soon as you start adding on header lengths and this and that, it changes tunes.
Sure.
Right now, we can get the engine within 95%.
And then
when they hook their headers on and everything else, it'll change a little bit, but it doesn't change dramatically.
That's just like I was telling him on the race car.
Mm-hmm.
We'd paint the white stripe and sell them off there. That's totally in the car. That's after you race it 2 or 3 times. And you know a little more about it. And that's all.
And I test headers for Show and Field, Bea. I've had Speedworks. I've had different manufacturers of headers here, and in the circle track world, especially with the sealed engines, we're trying to find every bit of power we possibly can. So we try different headers, collector size, turn downs, mufflers, everything we can try.
Sure.
It does get loud.
Yeah.
Because we're not running no nothing, so it's raw power is what we get to see.
I can see it Alternator. That's for
Like right now, we're just letting the engine run on 50% load and bringing up the torque, so that way it builds heat in the engine and it seasons the rings, it seasons all the package it's at right now. Flat tappet cams are the most important when we break them all in. I already did the braking procedure on this before we got everything going. But camshafts, the faster you can build that oil temp and bring the water temp and oil temp up as fast as you can, that's what seasons camshafts. So that's why it's really important on a flat tappet, high lift camshaft is to build that and season it. Gives you a horsepower and torque. But most of this is drips, drizzles, leaks, make sure we're always putting out a good product and making sure that the customer the camshafts are always broken, everything's broken for the customer.
That's what we're doing, That's like running, if you shove 2 sticks together real slow, they'll get hot. If you run them fast, they'll never get hot. It's the same way, same principle, a little bit. Okay? And we want the motor and the oil, because he's running this motor, oil. Now, inside that motor is just oil everywhere, like a dishwasher. There's oil and everything. So that's what we're doing.
So we'll go ahead and take a pass on it right now. And then we'll do a plug reading on it and kind of see it, check the timing on it, and we can actually see where the timing stripe is on a spark plug and where our heat range is. And it just doubles up of everything that we can look at.
Okay.
So
There's a scale on what it did.
So what we care about is I want to look at oil pressure is what I want to watch. And oil pressure should climb with the RPM with it making horsepower. Okay. So our horsepower is out at 5,600 RPM, 520. And you can see where the oil pressure just gets ready to start peak over, and then it naturally will back up. You always want it to pull up with the RPM. Okay. So all of this is you got your oil temps here, our water coolant temps, brake specifics. This is how much air is going through the carburetor, how much fuel I'm running through my turbines that the engine is using, and it tells you your brake specifics. And this is all CFM that's going through that carburetor right now. So you'll never ever, if it's a 750 carburetor on it, you'll never ever pull 750 CFM. You always want to have the carburetor over a little bit, so that way it pulls up to it.
Yeah, so don't lean down.
So your air to fuel doesn't get messed up.
Where we at? Does it
like,
say that on here?
Yeah. What I want for my air to fuel.
Something?
Yeah, on my wide open throttle, I actually try to get them right there at the 13.5 at wide open throttle, but at cruise, so at 3,000 RPM, we want to be right there at 14 to 14.2. To
14.2, yeah. That's ultimate, yeah. The best performance, yeah.
Okay.
And that's normal car.
So you can see right here our air to fuel. We roll in, we're at 12.5, 13, 13. We're a little bit lean up on the top side at wide open throttle. But understand this is a passenger car, it's not a race.
Yeah.
So being up there in that area all the time is highly unlikely for this thing to run at 7,800 RPM all the time.
It ain't going to do that, yeah.
So
this motor will probably be, I don't know he's going to put it in, it's probably going to be probably $6,000 the most, whatever he's going to put. I don't care what he should put it in.
And that's kind of where we see is we have to make adjustments for passenger car to race applications.
Yeah.
So
race cars now, it isn't funny. It depends on a dry car or circle track. We're running that thing wide open, round and round the track, and let up on it once in a while. My driver, say like his father-in-law, I would want him to stay on the top of the track and never let up on it the whole race. He just stays on the top and keeps going faster and faster and faster. That would be my option.
So in 90% of the people always overfuel an engine. And just because they think that you got to have this much fuel going through it for fuel pressure, gallons per minute, it's all on cubic inch, it's all on how much horsepower you're going to make. And right now, at wide open throttle, you know, we're 5.5, we're sitting there hovering, and it'll never run the bowls dry.
Yeah.
And a lot of times guys will overrun bigger fuel pump on it, and it'll actually overrun the needle and seat, and it'll mess it. Yes, it'll mess up your air to fuel ratio.
Air fuel ratio goes crazy, yeah.
So, but yeah, on the dyno, I can tell you everything what's going on.
Yeah. And you could go overboard with this too. If you start messing with all this stuff and trying to make it, you could spend a couple months running that same motor.
Yeah.
If you want to tear it apart and work on it and change this and change that and do whatever you want to do. But I know some guys that like to run the motor, some of our motors, we didn't agree with him, but he wore the motor out on the dyno.
Yep.
Really? Yeah, it wore it out. And it just stopped. Run one pull and I'm done. I'm going to go racing. Yeah. I'll wear it out. Yeah.
If you can't figure your dyno pulls out within the max 5 to 6 runs and figure out your carburetor timing and everything,
you're just playing.
Correct. You're wearing it out for no reason. You're wearing the motor out
for no reason.
Every engine on head rollover for, you know, the if it's a 23 degree, 19 degree, 15 degree, they can only take so much timing, and if you don't know exactly where to start, you're going to be lost no matter what you do.
Yeah,
you know, with the idle mixture screws on the carburetor, the timing, I kind of already had all that stuff set. Yeah. And we all know that a big block passenger car with pump gas likes 32, no more than 34.
Yeah.
So you start out with
Initial
32, and you kind of roll from there. But I look at the brake specifics, and you can get a carburetor tuned out really fast.
Yeah, there's not much on carburetor.
There's not a lot of carburetor guys left in this world.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of people, play with the carburetors, keep playing with them, playing with them. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, and they can dial themselves out.
Yeah.
Leave well enough alone.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Too many
and
guys
sometimes we still get the carburetor don't work.
Yep. A lot of times, too many guys have Tinkeritis.
Yeah, Tinkeritis. Okay.
We'll pull a plug out, and I'll show you.
Oh yeah, okay.
We can look at that and kind of.
Grant, did he?
Muscles.
He thought it held the front wheel on.
Yeah.
So I tell him something. Don't tighten that up. It don't hold the wheel on. How many engines do you think you dyno in, let's say, a month? 10?
There's sometimes that the max I've ever done is 5 engines in one day.
Okay.
So
it depends on your
good average.
A race season.
A race day. I do one a day.
Well, okay, all right. That's a lot of work. Yeah.
So on pump gas, I can see a timing stripe right there, and it's just below the 90. And so we want to see that timing stripe where it turns colors. Our optimum is right there at the 90.
So now it's got a little, we've always liked to have a little something here where out at the races where you can get a little spark, a little mark on this line right here. See, I made a little mark on there with my finger. Yeah, so we need a little bit of that on there. We know it's rich. Now this is where the piston is firing on this. This is setting at an angle. We got a piston fire and an ignition fire. And the compression, that's why it's colored around this side and open around here. And the porcelain's good. Now if we had some specks on the porcelain, right on the edge of that specks, that's piston.
Okay. That's bad.
Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, any kind of, I'll get my pencil.
But we have good color.
Yeah.
We got like an off-white, so we got good color to it. And this is on pump gas. 91 is what this is running on.
Yeah. So if we had little specks on this white around this white here, that's not good. Now we used to have a flashlight champion spark plug, and it was magnifying, and we could look at the bottom of that spark plug and really tell what's down inside. I don't know, you ever had one of those?
Yep.
Yeah,
so it'll read the same as the inside that it will read on the outside. So you can actually see how many BTUs are in the chamber by how many threads it cleans off.
Yeah.
And right now we're about 1 thread, so we're a little on the chunky side.
Yeah.
But that's good on a passenger car.
Yeah, right.
We're not lean and mean.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Excellent. There's a lot to this a little bit, but it's fairly simple to us. I've been doing it a few years, and I'm sure Robert's been doing it a few years, and knows what he's talking about. Again, he does maybe 1 a day. That's a lot. That surprises me.
And obviously, I've learned from all these old geezers. There's not a lot of people that want to learn this.
Now I'm an old man again.
There's not a lot of people that want to learn this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Guys that have been racing for 20 years, 30 years, still do not know how to run valves, or read spark plugs, or adjust a carburetor.
Yeah.
And this is becoming a dying breed of people trying to learn how to do this.
That's why my videos made. My videos, my one is actually telling some of the younger kids a little bit, educating them what really is the basics. And now the new cars, the electrician, the new cars, you raise up the hood. You know, I don't even know what's under that hood of that new Chevy truck. Nope. Yeah. And this is basically basic hot rod and engine building and playing around and having fun.
That's right.
Yeah, having fun. Like, I'm sure Robert has fun, because if he didn't, he wouldn't be here. So
every day, I enjoy my job.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. So
thank you for joining us on another episode of BarryTsGarage. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks to Robert King, owner of Klein Engines, for taking some time with us and showing us how his dyno works. That was an awful lot of fun. See you again on the next episode.